Hey guys, and welcome to Swerve Weekly, where we cover all sports from the last week. Today I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Jasper Cormick and Karunatileke. Boys, how are we?
Good,
Can't
mate.
complain.
Can't
Good, mate.
complain.
Bombers win, that's all that
Bombers
matters.
win and a Collingwood win and a Richmond win. We're all
All on this
we're
week.
all
Wasn't pretty, wasn't good, but it was pretty good.
wasn't good. I love that saying. How are you boys thought about the world of sport over the last week?
It was a busy weekend of sport.
Very busy.
Yeah. Easter's always a good time.
Yeah?
We saw the footy. It was a good round.
Good round of footy. Heard you boys are into the WWE.
Yeah, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Very good.
Very good.
Could have been better, but
Could have been better. Coming to
Yeah.
Australia, I heard it was
Well,
really
yeah, Bad Blood.
bad.
October.
Really?
Yeah.
lovely.
John Cena get a main event.
Really?
I
John
hope
Cena?
not.
John Cena?
nah, he won't. He won't be around by then.
Yeah, you will.
Nah, I doubt it.
Mate, let Papa H cook.
John Cena? I thought he retired.
He's retiring
End of
like
the
on
year.
a tour. So he's like, he just won the title at WrestleMania.
That's
And it's like the 1 year tour.
oh,
Yeah.
alrighty. Let's move
Interesting.
on.
Let's
How
go
about we
get
move
anything
on. Let's
cooler.
move on. Let's move on. Here we go. The first game of the round was the Pies taking on the Lions at the Gabba, and the first half did not disappoint. The second half did. Crittas, tell us about it.
Well, it was a good start. And my theory is when you go to Brisbane, I say you're about 3-4 goals down when you come off the plane. It's always tough up there. And from the get-go, the Pies just looked the better team. They just started very strong, and we just finished well. Saw superstar Nick Dacos. He turned it up. 3 votes, 38 and a goal. What else can you ask for?
I reckon
Absolutely turned it
Josh's
up.
performance was quality as well.
You can't really ask for too much, can
You
you?
can't.
Like Josh's first half was phenomenal.
It was.
It's unbelievable though. You can see two sets of families going at it as well. That's what it felt
The
like.
Ashcrofts were awful.
Ashcrofts and the Dacos, obviously the
Mate,
Dacos.
Will
There's
Ashcroft
no-
was awful.
Will?
Will
Yeah,
he's a myth. I'm telling you.
I
He's a
think he-
myth.
You see talks
bit too
about
fancy.
the two sets of brothers being compared.
Mm.
There is no comparison.
There's no comparison in this world.
The Ashcrofts are like down here.
There's only a Norm Smith
Dacos
medalist
are
in the
up here.
family. mate.
No, yeah, underestimating. Okay, one of the Ashcrofts, it's his first year. He's played 6 games. All right, I can see where you're going with that one, but they could be better than
The
the
Mackay
Dacos.
brothers have a bigger legacy than the Ashcrofts ever will.
Will Ashcroft won a Norm Smith, mate. I said he had a bad game. He's not.
The Mackay brothers.
Yeah.
Ben Mackay's the worst player in the comp.
The Mackay brothers have a better legacy than the Ashcroft brothers ever
Yeah,
will.
they
have.
will. Yeah.
Couple of
Live in
Colemans,
their-
mate.
Live in their shadow.
The
Bit of a-
Ashcrofts.
Bit of VFL footy for those two.
Will Ashcroft.
They're
And-
both overrated.
And what's the other one's name?
Levi.
Levi.
Both
Levi's
very
a gun.
overrated.
Levi's going to be a Brownlow medalist.
Will
Okay.
beat that. No, actually, I'll
Will
back that.
Will's going to carry.
He'd have to
Will
leave the
captain-
Lions.
Will captain the Lions in the next 3 years.
Yeah, but I reckon if Levi was going to win a Brownlow, he'd probably have to leave the Lions.
Yeah. Critter, who's your 3-2-1?
I'll give you the one. Steele was very good.
Still was
Still,
very
yeah.
good.
Steele was good. 2 have got to go Josh and 3.
Lovely.
Nick.
Lovely.
Ricky Nick.
Let's move on to the second game of the round, which was the Blue Baggers taking on the Roos on Good Friday footy.
Did anyone tune into this?
I tuned in. I got home at around the second quarter, at the start of the second quarter, and I saw the Roos were already down by 20, but they kept it up till half time, and I then stopped watching at half time, checked the scores, and they were down by 82. So
Mate,
there's a lot of concerns down at Arden Street with Clarko's job under pressure.
a lot of patience for Clarko.
A lot of patience, but you can understand where the patience comes from.
I'd absolutely
He's
agree.
a 4-time premiership coach.
I still reckon he's the right man for the job.
I still reckon he is.
Yeah,
too. I think
absolutely.
everyone's just overreacting. We overreact in this industry. A lot of the media does.
A fair chunk, yeah.
I think like we talk about ages, like average age and average games and stuff like that. You still got to remember, like, he's a new coach trying to get a brand of football into their system, and it's his 3rd year. Like, he's had 2 seasons to do it, and he's still getting more talented draft picks in there. So whilst he's teaching all these other mature age players how to play the game, he's also got to teach the new kids, like Finn O'Sullivan, Zane Dersma, Colby
If I
McKercher,
could pipe in
also
real
how to
quick.
play that one. Yeah, go.
there's a real problem at Arden Street, and that's drafted midfielders. How many more are they going to draft?
100%.
Yeah, true.
Like, I get that the top, usually they've been in the top 3 or 4 or 5 picks, obviously, because they've been awful. But at what point do you start drafting key position players?
They don't need to, though. Like, when the draft came, they had Larky and they had Zerha. And Zerha, at the time, I'm not saying he's a gun now, but back then he was promised to be a gun.
Correct.
He
Yeah, but you
showed.
could use like a couple of 19-year-old key position players coming through for 3 years.
Yeah, I know,
Like,
but, like, in the AFL, you want to win now, sort of thing. Like, it's a real win.
North
now.
aren't in win now.
I know,
No.
but, like, most AFL teams are. It's not like the NBA where you sell and stuff like that.
They're-
You want to win every year. And I just see North at around 2022, they still had Mackay. They had
Codman, he's
Codman
good.
coming up.
But
And they have these older players that
They
thought.
haven't improved.
you need to think
No.
about some of the mids on that list that were highly touted. Like Will
yeah.
Phillips,
And he's
Yeah.
like in the 2s,
Useless.
he'll come to Richmond. Is that rumoured?
maybe.
Or was that Tom Power?
I saw a graphic. There was so many of them
Wouldn't
since
want either of
2016. Since
Why?
2016, there were 11 midfielders drafted in the first round
Yeah,
for
it's
the North, and like 4 of them.
midfield
currently
hungry,
doing.
and it's and you don't win games in the midfield. You win it in the back line. In my eyes, you win games of footy in the back line. If you got a good defense,
What does Scully say? Backs, forward sell memberships,
yeah, backs win.
mid sign sponsorships, backs win premierships.
Yeah, exactly. Critto, who's your 3-2-1?
Well, I didn't really watch much of this game. But
Hewitt scored 180 or something.
yeah,
Supercoach.
Hewitt
That's-
gets the 3,
Hewitt was. He's
2
a
of the
gun.
1. I didn't watch enough of it.
I think he had
I'll give Kerno the 2, and I think I'll give
Jesse Motlop.
yeah, I'll give young Jesse Motlop the 1. I think he played well and a lot of criticism. I think he's the worst player on the field every time he takes foot. But
I don't
anyways,
agree with the Motlop one.
no, you didn't watch the game though.
I was focused on his game,
Yeah.
and he had 6 touches, 3/4 time.
Yeah, but he
Yeah, and he kicked 2 and had like 7 or 8.
We're getting a bit off
last.
topic.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the third
Crito,
game
you
of the
can't talk
round.
about games you didn't
The
watch. 7-seater
Bombers-
Peter boys.
The Bombers versus the Eagles down at Optus Stadium in a Good Friday classic.
That was
let's
a better
say.
game.
Was a good game. I actually watched
Did
the
you just say it was a bad game?
no good
It
game.
was a better game.
Better
Oh,
game.
I
watched
was
the
going to say.
watched the
good for
entirety
footy.
of this match, and it did not disappoint. Though I thought Essendon should have won by much more, but did come back. Jasper, your team. Talk about
There's
it.
no such thing as a bad win in this comp. Like, you can be underwhelming, but there's no such thing as a bad win. 4 points is 4 points.
Exactly.
Like we saw Richmond beat the bloody Gold Coast on the weekend.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, like we saw Melbourne beat Freo. Like if you beat the side, that's the first tick.
Yeah. Good.
I thought the 7-seater Peter was real good on return.
Going to comment on that. Good to see. Yeah, 7-meter Peter back Critter. How do you think his game was?
He had a great game. He was dominant.
He was up the ground as
And
well.
in the first half, it looked like he was really the only one trying.
Well, in the first quarter, Jake Waterman kicked 4 goals.
Jake Waterman finds a way every time to
Is
kill
he
us.
underrated or overrated, Jake Waterman? He's on a fine
He's
line.
probably properly rated.
Properly
at the moment.
rated.
Yeah, but he's on that fine line where he's almost now overrated. Like all
But
Australians.
that's what happens when you
yeah.
get good. Like,
But he's only had one All Australian selection, and has he peaked?
yeah, but he only just
Was
started
it just
playing
a purple
full time
patch?
forward.
Yeah, true.
Like
Was it
that
just
one,
a purple
yeah.
patch? Anyways, we'll find out this season. But yes, 2-meter Peter comes back in for the Bombers, and the Bombers look like a more stable forward line. I saw Harrison Jones also go down back a few times as well to help out
He's
the
very
defense.
versatile.
He's
I'm
very
a big fan of
versatile.
Harry Jones.
Talk about versatility just real quick, and we'll move on to the next game after this. But Nick Cox, what's the go with him?
He's still injured at the moment, but they're very cautious with him.
But
Obviously,
he can't. Obviously, when he's healthy, he can't get a game in the ones, and he's one of the most.
Nah, he can get a game in the ones. Hasn't been healthy for a little while now, but his issue is he gets into the side and he's the first magnet to move always. He actually plays a really good third forward.
Kicks on both feet
Yeah,
as well.
absolute weapon. Like
Absolute
at the game
skills.
against Gold Coast last year, I think he kicked 4, kicked 3 in the last quarter, won us a game of
There was
footy.
no room for him, though, considering now you got right back, Caddy.
Well,
Isn't Langford back this week?
yeah, but
Yeah.
good to have
Isn't
some
he-
depth.
He's a pretty tall fellow as well. Can't he play a bit of rock?
Coxie, you wouldn't play him in the ruck, bit skinny, but at this rate for the Bombers, We better digest this.
Yeah.
There's 2 rucks on the list.
Let's move on before we get into
Oh,
deep dive-
yeah.
we'll deep dive into this. We got Melbourne, my team that I said would go 5-5 last week. Played the Freo Dockers.
Isn't this the first episode of Swerve Weekly?
Yeah, I know, but it'll come out. I'll make sure this clip comes out. But last week in an incorrupt file, I said that the Demons could go 5-5, and I backed this heavily. And you two laughed at me. But we go Saturday Arvo, and what happens?
Freo play the
Freo play probably
worst
the
brand of
worst,
footy I've
yes.
ever watched in my life.
Correct. And Melbourne, again, they had no choice but to make a statement.
They
quite literally had no choice.
I think they made that on Thursday as well. Thursday night they made a big statement, dropping Van Rooyen and dropping Bailey Fritsch.
Yeah, 100%.
I think
They've been no good.
I think that was their first win.
They've been
What is Bailey Fritsch good at?
When he's in form, he's damaging. He is a gut runner. He runs up and down. He makes a defender tight. He usually takes the best defender too sometimes.
Yeah.
I just think
But
if you
he's-
look at him, right, he
just-
might be decent at a lot of things, but what is he actually good at?
He can.
He's not great overhead. I'd maybe give you on the lead, but the leads are dead in this game of footy these days. He's
No,
not a
I wouldn't
great
say
set
the
shot.
lead. I wouldn't say the lead's
I'd
dead.
still take him in my team.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying people
He just
think
needs
he's
to
still
find his
all Australian, should be paid.
I just don't think. Yeah, he has a.
Did they play VFL, both of them?
I'm not too sure. I didn't really
maybe
look
not.
at it this week. But does he fit somewhere else? Does he fit at the Richmond? Does he fit at a
Anyone fits at
Collingwood?
Richmond.
Collingwood needs you got Asian key forwards. Does he fit in the Collingwood?
Probably doesn't.
No.
Tell you where he
it's-
fits,
it's-
probably Geelong.
No. Yeah, but I think about him and Jeremy Cameron, and all I think is them two running into each other all the time.
That Geelong forward line has a
He's-
lot of talent.
I look at Bailey Fritsch, and
Different players.
he is a poor man's Jeremy Cameron.
They're different.
They're
style
completely
players.
different players. Ladder.
Are they?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're both key
Cameron-
forwards.
No, Fritz isn't a key forward.
What is he?
He's like a
Smaller
medium.
medium forward.
Yeah, or maybe
I
not small,
I
but
don't think he's a small.
he's like
He wouldn't be.
the player I'd compare him to. He's a left-footed Kyle Langford.
Yeah.
Would you call Kyle Langford like a key forward?
Yeah, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we're getting off topic here. Anyways, Critter, what's your 3-2-1?
I thought Melbourne had a lot of good performances.
Yep.
I'm going to go the one, Jack Viney.
Yep.
He was
He turned it on.
Needed the
He
big
But
needed
stood
to
up.
as well.
stood up.
The two, I'm going to go to Cozzy.
Yep.
5 and 24 and very stiff not to get the 3.
The 2 for Cozzy.
Yeah.
That's the best game of footy we've seen all year, mate.
It is.
Hang on. Cozzy Pickett, who's had 5 goals, 24 disposals,
But
Probably-
impact. Every
probably-
touch was impact.
probably the umpire's first name written down when they go into the sheds to write down the Brownlow votes.
Mate,
It's
and
3
the
votes.
coaches.
No,
and
he
the
didn't,
coaches.
he didn't get the 10.
Did he not get the 10 coaches
got
votes? Did Petty get a 10?
Okay,
nine.
he's still got what?
Best of.
9,
He's
yeah.
still best
Who,
of.
who,
And
who
you-
else got the 9? Max Gawn, which is why he gets the 3 from me. He was dominant in that last quarter and stepped up. And without Max Gawn, Melbourne would have lost that.
Without Cozzy Pickett,
That's
they
a
would
big
have
call
lost
from
it.
Critter. That's a big call. Let's move on now to the 6th game of the round, or 5th or 6th. We've got the Adelaide Crows taking on the GWS Giants down at Adelaide Oval. Let's just say I don't think many people watch this game.
This was by far,
The worst AFL game I've ever watched in my life.
I watched most of it because I thought it was going to be a great contest. And I thought GWS were going to win this one. And what I learnt is that both teams were just shocking and that GWS are just worse than Adelaide.
GWS pretenders.
You know who is the pretender?
Find out.
We'll find out soon, but an old Bomberman.
Yeah, we'll find out soon about that. But are the Crows a real deal, or was it just a poor performance? by
Look, I think
GWS?
both teams had a very poor performance. Bit of a scrappy game. So
Hey, they say though, scrappy wins are the best wins.
Well, it's like Hawthorn 2013 to 15. Like, how many games did they win in the regular season
Yeah.
that was scrappy? Probably half of them. Like,
Yeah.
correct.
worst game ever, yeah, maybe, but 4 points is 4 points.
Not really much to talk about this one, but we'll move on to Critters 3-2-1.
Didn't There was no one who I really noticed and thought
Jordan Dawson was very good early.
he was all right.
So Dawson 1,
Yeah, I'll throw Dawson a vote.
Rankin 2.
He didn't really do much.
No, 20.
I noticed
first and a goal.
Crouch.
In
I
a
did
game
notice
with-
Crouch a fair bit.
In a game with only 10 goals, 20 in a goal seems like a pretty good game.
Yeah.
But
I noticed Crouch.
So who's your 2?
Yeah, Rankin can have 2 and Crouch can have 3.
I love it. Let's move on to the 6th game of the round. I'm pretty sure we got the Tigers, my Tigers, defeating the undefeated at the time Gold Coast Suns indoors in Melbourne. Dimmer doesn't like it there, nor does Richmond. Adamuze is the Euro back. How good? How good? I thought we really stood up.
Definitely.
We really stood up when it got heated. We were nervous. When it got time to shut the game down, we got nervous in that last quarter.
much better game for the
But
Tigers.
I would really want to put that to the back of what a great performance we had in the first 3 quarters. I think Maurice Rioli has just cemented his place in the old 22.
100%.
His forward pressure just reminds me back to the days of 2017 with Castagna, Rioli, and Butler, where forward pressure was probably one of the reasons why we
And
did.
Jakey
Yeah.
Townsend.
And I think he's bringing that back to the Richmond Tigers. Same with Seth Campbell, who just needs to pick it up a bit. But them two I can see being a small forward duo
Mate,
for a
Seth
long
Campbell's
time.
a guard.
Campbell's unbelievable.
Yeah,
He
he's a
can
gun.
kick it from anywhere as well. But Morris, Morris does not stop. Even if he gets pushed off the contest, he runs, he will chase. And he's not the strongest fella either, but he makes the opponent
Work real
Yeah.
hard.
like the
100%.
opponent's always wary. And unbelievable performance. And I thought the old boy stood up. Not so old in Toronto, but 35 and a goal.
But
Just
flossed him.
needs to work on his kicking.
He
I
does.
don't know why he doesn't go to training, and we don't have a kicking coach. Like,
Kicking's not really like in the AFL in the system. It's not a skill you can
Yeah,
it's shown
it's a
over the
habit,
years.
yeah.
It's one of those skills you can't really pick up. You come in as a good kick or you're not a good kick.
and he's a horrid kick, but I thought, yeah,
Nick
worked-
Flosser was
He
exceptional.
was
Yeah.
good. And I thought Lynch stepped up in that last quarter as
I
well.
thought Lynch was good the whole game.
I thought he was, and I thought he took leadership.
Yeah,
We saw him and Mac Andrew get into it in the
Yeah, I was
first
gonna
quarter,
ask
which
you
was a
about
great
that.
watch. And we just saw him really step up and defend the young fellas, which
Yeah.
is what his role. It's what he's got to
real
do. But
quick, Mac Andrew, thoughts on that?
I've gone off Mac Andrew.
Yeah, just a real quick 1 minute.
He's hard to get off.
I
like him.
think he's got to prove himself a bit
Yep.
more. He can't go around as a tough guy, trying to bump every player, fight every player. He just needs to settle down a bit and stay in his lane.
Dig in and play a good game of footy, mate.
3, 2, 1, Critter.
The 3. So I'll start with the 1. The 1 I'm probably going to give to Jacob Hopper.
Yep.
He had a great
Yeah.
game.
I like him.
Taranto gets a 2 for me, and Vluston gets a 3.
Foster
Lovely,
was
Critter. Let's
exceptional.
move on. Let's move on to the 7th game of the round. We got the Power and the Swans down at Sydney. Yes, at the SCG. Bit of a controversy game at the end with the fan. I thought a 2-year ban was quite.
Did you see the-
significant.
Did you see the post that the mum put on Facebook before the game? I don't know if you saw that circulate.
Who?
The mum put of the kid. So the mum put like a selfie up before the game and was like, "Oh, like hopefully we can get on TV."
Oh, no
Yeah, I
way.
promise ya.
Oh,
How brutal's that?
no way. We'll put that up in the screen for you guys. We'll find that.
I'll find it for you.
We'll find that image.
Yeah.
But that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
it's so grim.
it did kind of though.
It's a sour taste
Shadow-
on
it
probably a
shadowed-
sour game though.
Yeah, it shadowed how ordinary the football was. Dean Cox is under pressure, I think.
I thought it was a pretty good game.
We
Port
used-
looked really
Bad
good.
to watch.
it was I'm not a fan of both teams. It was an all right match. Nothing was just stood out to me all day.
This
Power-
deserved 320 on a Sunday.
Yeah, Power were dominant, but let the Swans back in too many times.
But the thing is, teams are always going to come back. You said it in the Richmond one. Gold Coast were always going to come back.
Yeah, but
Sydney were always gonna come back.
That's Gold Coast playing the 19th best
Correct,
team in
but
the league.
Sydney were always going to come back.
Tasmania already better, mate. Tasmania already better than
it's
your
like-
Tigers.
Well, we were docked as the 19th best team. We're getting off traffic again, but
I want to give some love to someone. Ollie
Go on.
Wines, like obviously got injured
yes,
at the end of the first quarter. Well, not injured, his heart we'll send our praise to Ollie Wines. Hopefully he's better soon. But his first quarter was phenomenal.
Very.
One of the best quarters I've seen in footy this year.
No, 100%. He's really
His contested ball work was
found his
phenomenal.
form.
Dean
Yeah.
Cox a bit under pressure as well. He doesn't seem really
Nah.
not to keep his
Nah.
cool on the bench.
Good list. They'll make the 8.
Probably just stays up in the coach's box this week after his antics on the bench. If you saw it, guys, is a bit animated,
Yeah,
but
it was a little bit.
we're moving on to the 3-2-1 Critter. Who you got?
There are a few players who
Jack
could have
would
got
be
the
joining.
one.
Yeah,
Who had a few people had a good game.
Yeah.
Will and Drew had a good
Will and
game.
Drew.
Might get the one.
Will and Drew.
Georgiades was good.
George
George
Georgiades,
Adams is
yeah.
good. Brozee can have the 2.
Yep.
Butters can have the 3.
Perfect. Let's move on to the 8th game of the round. Sunday night, Dogs defeated the Saints by 71 points in a disappointing affair. It turned out to be good game. Though I did mind the footy, but a disappointing affair. Bont is back.
He had a great return.
The Bont is back.
Some of his
Dogs
best
look good.
chunk of footy. Well done.
The Bont is back.
Like, we were all very keen on the Dogs, I guess, on the prospect of Bond coming back into a side that was playing some pretty good footy.
Yeah. And,
They've never played good footy with Bond out of the side.
and I hope he never gets injured, but I feel injured again, or you know what I mean. But I feel like his 6-week absence was the best thing that could happen to the Dogs. Just because
But just gave the chance for
Yeah.
other players to show
Riley Sanders,
Joel
developed.
Frazier.
Joel Frazier developed.
Riley West has looked
Riley
pretty
West
good.
developed. Kennedy
Riley West.
developed.
Mm.
They've got a gun midfield that had 6 weeks, surrounded by
Got rid of
Liberatore,
got rid of McRae and I reckon got
Yeah.
better.
and they said they obviously had a mindset saying, "All right, our best players out for 6 weeks. We either cry about it until round 6,
Their 2 best mids, Trelaw.
yeah, and Trelaw's out. I forgot about him, but
Yeah,
yeah, we
no.
cry about it.
Does
for,
Trelaw? This
hang on.
might be.
we cry about it for 6 weeks, or we step up our game and we try against the teams like Collingwood, and they defeated. Who else did they defeat? They defeated a big team, Carlton, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And they've done it, and now they slot back their best player in the team who can kick 2 goals and have 30 touches, and probably can play predominantly forward. I think.
The only thing is they have now lost probably one of the most upcoming players in the comp,
True.
Sam Darcy.
True.
There's a bit of a silver lining for old Sammy Darcy though. Like, could have been a
Correct.
lot
It
worse.
could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse.
Like an
Could see him
impaction
back
factor.
for finals if they make it.
Yeah. An
Potentially.
impaction fracture is not one we hear every day.
No, it's not, and it did look very uncomfortable to watch when he
Mm.
when he went up for that marking context and he landed and he
The
hyperextended.
hyperextension, yeah.
And it looked very uncomfortable to look at.
I-
Anyways, boys, the 3-2-1. I'm going to start with Bont with 3. I think.
Yeah.
I think Bont gets the 3.
Bonk gets the 3.
Sanders gets the 2 for me.
And I'm going to throw the 1. I'm going to throw it to Libba.
Libba, yeah, I
Libba
think
was good
Libba.
too. Libba was stiff to get only the 1 coach's vote. I
Yes,
saw that.
I agree. Let's move on to the game of the round. The game of the round. Easter Monday Classic for the ages. We saw the Geelong Cats defeat the Hawks by 7 points. Boys, what could you ask for? What else could you ask
This
for?
was a cracking
The Hawks to
game.
play some decent footy in the last 5 minutes. Josh Weddle is a spud.
Josh
That
Reynolds
is one of the
Jo-
worst decisions you can make on a football field.
Yeah.
To
that was
kick
a shocking
inboard,
kick.
short it inboard in your in your back 50 with a minute and a half to go.
Shocking.
Mate, that is
You
silly.
can't blame one player, though, for the outcome of the game. There's
I'm
a
also
lot.
gonna-
You can't blame him for the outcome, but you can
Someone
blame him
I'm
for a
gonna
chance
blame?
not to win the game.
I'm going to blame the captain, James Sicily.
That was you have to
That
score
was
there.
a piss poor. That was a weak as piss last quarter, James.
His performance as a whole was awful.
He had, in his last quarter, they set him up forward. I think you dropped 2 or 3 easy marks.
He
Yeah,
kicked a goal, but
He did, but then he had 2. I think he missed one at the end there.
he missed one at the end in a
Shanked it on the
7-point
full.
game where if you score, you have a chance to, like, if you score behind, you have a chance to tie it, or if you kick a goal, you have a chance to win
Correct,
the game.
and you just kick it on
And
the
you
full.
kick it out on the floor. It's inexcusable. It's like, throw it back to the Dreamtime game, not last year, the year before, where Ryan Mansell missed a lot, and then Sam Durham ended up kicking the winning goal. You look back at it and you're like, you just like, as an AFL player, you have to hit
Correct.
the points section of the ground.
So, let's move off from the Hawks. I think we're undermining, the performance Geelong actually had.
I think we are. They've put up back-to-back brilliant
Back-to-back
performances.
wins.
There's a lot of X
against
factor on
top
that
8
list.
teams as well.
Correct.
You beat Adelaide in Adelaide at Gather Round, and they're they're contenders for a lot of people this year.
Correct.
And then they've just beaten the flag favourites in Hawthorn at Easter Mountain Day Classic. Age doesn't seem to be a stress for him. Patrick Dangerfield's playing absolutely
He's playing
unbelievable
bad.
They're a
footy.
lot. They're a
Jerry-
lot younger than you think.
Yeah, well,
Correct.
their best players are the older ones though. That's what I'm trying to
Correct.
say. Dangerfield's old.
Max Holmes, Bailey Smith.
True. Bailey Smith. They're the next generation. I'm talking about their best players right now.
No,
They're their
100%.
best players now.
I'm talking about Dangerfield, Guthrie, Stewart, like these three. Like usually when you hit that 35 mark, yeah.
Guthrie.
Zachy, mate. Zachy
Yeah,
Guthrie.
Young.
Superstar, mate.
How old's Zach Guthrie?
I mean,
28?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was a bit
Younger.
older. 3,
But,
2, 1, boys. Who are you thinking?
Bailey Smith.
Baz
probably
gets the
three.
votes. So
Baz.
does Manor.
Manor?
I'll go 1 Danger, 2 Baz, 3 Sean Manor.
Danger was
Great game.
phenomenal.
Danger?
I want to show a lot of love to Danger's Ford craft.
100%. He had a brilliant game. It was dangerous there.
How does Huswaite get in the team?
I reckon Hawthorn need to change something.
The
up.
pencil.
I would. This week you play West Coast. I would
Just rest.
bring in a young kid.
Just rest someone.
Try
Rest Nuke.
something.
Rest
Throw
Nuke
someone
him.
to debut or something. Bring in a young kid from the twos doing well. Huswaite had another 30 disposal game on the weekend.
Yes.
In VFL.
That's
Wanna-
what I'm saying. How does he get into the
Exactly.
team?
Like, what more can the guy
There's
do?
some teams though over the years you've seen like sometimes just you can't break into their midfielder. You can't even break into their 22.
Luke Dunstan for St Kilda and Melbourne. He was an absolute gun, but played at 2 teams where just couldn't get.
Like there's sometimes the fact of the matter is people tail up the VFL.
Yeah.
Like last year Sardis, I thought he shouldn't have deserved a game last year, and
But he tears up the VFL.
but
yeah.
he has 35 a week in the VFL
Another
with like 22 contested possessions.
Another thing I'm going to get into here, a little bit off topic, but focusing on Geelong. Next Saturday night, cancel your plans because we are probably in for game of the year. It has the potential to be that. Collingwood Geelong at the G.
Collingwood Geelong at the G.
That
it-
could be
what
game of
time?
the year.
90,000.
7:30 on the Saturday night.
That
Sorry.
deserves Twilight. That deserves 4:35.
That's a. We're gonna see
Nah,
the. We're gonna
not
see
on
the
a
two
Saturday.
best.
4:35 is beautiful on a Saturday.
No
I
way.
know, but
That is the
For
slot,
the
ladies and
AFL
gentlemen.
thinks smarter out of it.
We're gonna see
You're
the
going to
two
get
best
more
teams.
people at a night game because of.
Do you remember
local
the
footy
game?
and stuff?
The prelim.
The prelim, yes, but also there was a game early last year, around 6 or 7,
Carlton Geelong.
Carlton Geelong,
Yeah.
which was phenomenal at a Twilight
And
slot.
then
89,000.
Twilight footy is the new meta. I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. I think we're talking about here is, do we all agree with the Connor Nash suspension? He got given 4 weeks, I believe.
4 is he sent to the tribunal?
I think 4 weeks is.
I
Bare
think
minimum.
I think he's expected to get 4 weeks. Sorry. People
I
are,
think they've.
people are debating: is it intentional? Is
Doesn't
it
matter
deliberate?
though.
Was it accidental? It is a footy act, as it rolls over again.
It's
They-
careless. It's severe. It's 4 weeks.
It's 4. Yes, it's 100%. The issue most people have is, what can we do to stamp this
You
out?
don't throw a loose arm in a
Yeah,
contest.
but AFL football is such an unpredictable sport.
Yeah, but if
we
you
don't know. No one has any idea what was going through his head. And
it shouldn't matter though.
Exactly, I know. I'm not saying this, but now Geelong have lost one of their. I think in Graham Myers was their best scoring
he
involvement
was
player. Lost him for the game, right? Why can't Hawthorn lose Nash for the game?
You reckon a send off?
I reckon in rugby we have a red card. They have a yellow card. They have
Well,
a
in
red
every
card in the
level-
sin bin. Send him off.
In every level of
Play
grassroots
with
AFL
17 men on the
football,
field. You play
we
with
have
17 men
a
on the
red
field.
card.
Nah, I don't agree.
I reckon you trial it next season. I reckon you trial it.
Just
in the
trial it in
present.
the VFL.
Well, you trial it somewhere, obviously. But if that's just going to happen more often, because players like who won't care if they're not playing next week are going to smack a bloke, cop 4 weeks, and they could win the game.
Like the guys that retire Like,
Yeah, well,
remember
you remember
Alistair
when
Lynch
Alistair Lynch threw a barrage
started
of
fighting
punches at the
people just
Port,
because he.
Correct. No.
got
knew he
10
wasn't
weeks
gonna
and
play
retired the
again.
next game. Like,
That's a
anyways,
piss take,
do we
but
agree
anyway.
with 4 weeks though, guys?
Look,
4 weeks minimum, in my opinion. Like, it's so. You could say you don't know what's going through his head. You can say it's a footy act. But it's like electing to bump these days. If you throw your arm out in a contest, you own the fact that you could
Yeah,
whack
you've
one of
gone in
someone
there.
in the head. You own the fact that that concussion is on you. If you elect to bump, you own the fact that whatever happens after that, that is on you.
Okay.
I'm just going to state that none of the Geelong boys really got stuck into Connor Nash.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
And the crowd weren't really getting stuck into him either, so...
More slack for Jarman Impey than
Let's-
anyone else. Which
yes.
is
Let's move on, boys. We're getting a bit off topic. Let's move across to the Watchtower. The Watchtower, boys. Now, my little segment I've got here. We've got 4 this time. We've got 4.
Four.
We've got Jack Steele,
again.
Todd Goldstein, the Hawks, and Crittas man, Jakey Stringer. We'll leave him last. Now, I wrote a little article about the Pies. They strike gold this week. They got Todd Goldstein against Darcy Cameron. Do they rest Cameron?
No.
No
Think
chance.
about it though.
I'm telling you, you're playing a guy.
No,
What's the main? Can I
would
ask
you
you a
rather?
question? No,
Would
no,
you
let me ask
rather?
a
Would
question.
you rather?
No, Lada, let me ask you
No,
a question,
yeah,
mate.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the main obstacle for an aging ruckman?
Age.
Aging ruckman. As in, what is the big obstacle they face in the AFL football?
Their age. Or
So injury or like slower
Fitness.
oh,
or... We're talking about an aging ruckman
yeah, injury. I'd
that
say.
has spent the first 6 weeks of the season not even having to put too much effort in.
Yeah, but
We're talking about a guy...
He's as frail as.
Frail is not the word I'd use for old
You're
Goldie.
very biased. You're very biased.
I'm
here.
telling ya,
You're very biased here. You've got a very biased.
you could
outlook.
see
No,
I could
and I
see
do. And
Goldie
I do
coming
agree, and
out.
I think I've offended you by my article, but I'm saying that if I'm Collingwood, I'm playing Cox as the first ruckman because Cox will go against
Cox would
Goldstein.
cop a bath from
I
Goldstein.
hope,
No,
yeah, I seriously hope
me-
that they rest someone, and I hope
I reckon
they get an
you
absolute
rest-
bath
you
on
rest-
Anzac
you
Day
rest-
because you don't rest people on
you re-
Anzac Day, mate.
It doesn't
don't.
matter. You rest.
What's
Anzac-
Goldstein got?
I get it. Anzac Day, massive game. It's iconic. It's the great history of it. Blah blah blah. I love that.
It's the
about
grand final for the Essendon Football Club because we don't
Yeah,
play
because
grand
you don't
finals.
play finals. Though, but
Yeah.
it's Collingwood. I'm talking about Collingwood here. I'm not talking about Essendon. Collingwood's going to make finals this year without a doubt. Now, you got to go up against 2 high quality teams in 11 days in Geelong and Freo. Why risk having Darcy go up against a overplayed or about to retire Todd Goldstein? He gets injured against Todd Goldstein on Anzac Day.
It's an
Well,
interesting
I just see
dilemma.
why don't you just rest him?
We
He
don't-
just he,
Because you cop a bath.
okay. You look like you rest him and you lose. I look like a fool. So does Collingwood. That's the risk. Yeah,
Let me ask you
that's the
this.
risk. The upside about it, you rest Darcy. Cox is getting more minutes in the ruck. He's still developing as a ruck. You got Memory and McStay.
Still developing as a ruck.
Well, you know what I mean. He's 30, but he's still trying to.
He's new to the game. He's still a rookie.
He's still
almost.
trying to get his
Bit
ruck craft up.
developing.
Yeah, developing's a bit. Yeah, I get that. But you still got McStay and Memory who can help out in the ruck, both forward and back. Why not? Why not? You're playing Todd Goldstein.
Let me ask
If
you
it was
this.
Sam Draper, I understand. You play Darcy Cameron. But you want to rest. You want to rest your best players for best teams, for
Anyway,
the best teams.
we
He's
could-
playing Geelong and Freo in 2 weeks within 11 days. Do you know how much toll that is on an AFL player?
Do you?
No, well, no, obviously.
Well, we're getting very off topic here, and we could be arguing all day about it. But let me ask you this: what does Todd Goldstein have that's unique to him that no other ruckman has?
Enlightening us, mate. Enlightening us, Critter.
It's the only left-handed ruckman in the AFL.
Oh, that doesn't. Okay.
Also,
Out there.
he's
Alright,
just
so-
fresh legs. I get you think he's aging.
fresh legs, but the legs have.
How many
gone through
times?
So many
Let
miles.
me ask you a question. You're a Pies man. How many times has Andrew Phillips torn you guys up on Anzac Day?
Yeah, he did. He played last year, didn't he? No, year
Not last year, the year
before.
before that,
Yeah,
and
that
then
one, yeah. he dominated.
he,
We're getting a
for
bit off
multiple
topic,
years
boys.
in a row, a ruckman, Andrew Phillips, not a great ruckman. Let's be honest. But
we
not great ruckman
We just
can have
need-
good games.
We need to move forward here, boys. We did touch on Hawthorn. Are they frauds or not? I think we figured out that they might be a little fraud, so we won't touch on that. Jack Steele, bit banged up and slow these days, and not really carrying the weight of the St Kilda Football Club on his shoulders anymore.
He'll find form. It will just take time.
Just a quick one, fine form. Critter, I'm going to give this one to you. You're not happy with this, man. I'm going to leave. The stage is yours. The mic is yours.
Jake Stringer. I watched most of that game, and I thought GWS were going to win. Said that before. And Jake Stringer, he was playing as their deepest forward at one stage. You, Jake, had, in the first quarter, you dropped 2 easy marks, which you could have had shots at goal. They were not hard marks. You kicked 2 behinds. You managed to kick 1 out on the full. Your possessions were useless. Somehow, you managed to have 7 score involvements. 6 of them were behinds. And just were not dangerous. Your touches were not really impactful. You dropped easy marks. Jake, you need to go and have a spell in the twos. He seriously deserves a spell in the twos because he's slow. I believe he can still be a good player. And I still believe he can be an impact player. He just needs to find his game again, and I think that's a spell in the twos.
Great insight there, Critter. Now
Calling it early. Norm Smith medalist this year. Jake Stringer.
That's a big call. That's a big call.
No
But
way.
talk about slow. You know who isn't slow?
Todd Goldstein.
The man that came second in a semi-final at the Stall Gift. Gout.
Did.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. We're at the unsung heroes. The run sheet's wrong. We're at the unsung heroes, boys. Today, who have you got? I've got
Jake Bowie was exceptional.
Bowie. Oh, a bit overrated, I think.
We're talking about, mate,
Bit overrated.
we educated you on what an unsung hero is last week.
Bit overrated. Bit overrated. You can't.
Well, let's give some love to someone you can't call underrated. George Hewitt had 15 tackles on the weekend.
George Hewitt is the only bloke that looks like he wants to play for Carlton at this point.
Correct.
He's the only bloke that, dons the navy blue with some pride.
I didn't know this. Apparently, he's got the number 1 points on Supercoach,
Oh, does he?
and apparently only 3% own him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's, if you owned him, you'd be flying.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
We all owned him a few years ago
At
when he had
Sydney.
defended Hague.
He was at Sydney a couple years ago, wasn't he? And
Nah,
my boy,
It was his first year at Carlton. He was pretty good for the
Oh,
old
was he?
Supercoach. Yeah.
and my boy Seth Campbell, absolute
He's
gun.
having a great year.
Developing, could be the next.
Knows where the sticks are.
Could be the next Stephen Milne.
I don't know about
Could
that
be
one.
the
Hopefully,
next.
hopefully he's a nicer bloke.
Oh, what you hope, but I think Seth Campbell could be the next Stephen Milne. He's an absolute jet. I love him. I'm a bit biased here, but
Stephen Mill was a gun.
yeah, well, no,
Yeah,
yes,
but
of
like,
course,
I
but,
just want to show some love.
but the next Stephen Milne,
Thanks, Lada.
I think you're pushing it a little bit there.
you reckon?
Yeah, little.
All right, let's move on.
Let's go to the fast man.
Okay, so I was one segment off. Gout runs seconds in the semi-final at the Stool Gift on the weekend, boys. Thoughts about that?
Handicaps are absolute stitch up.
Yeah, it's very stiff.
Started 5 meters back from the other competitors and still came second, which is
Still a brilliant effort.
Tells
He's
you a
like
lot.
Chautauqua, mate, just coming around on the outside.
Got paid 50 grand anyways.
To be there.
That's actually what the winner gets.
The real loser
More
of
than
the
the winner.
weekend.
Really? How much did the winner get?
40
The winner gets 40 grand just
Yep.
for winning it, but he just got 50 for rocking up.
for rocking up.
He is
The real loser of the weekend was that the stall races got abandoned due to rain, and Gout was supposed to show up. So all the kids that were going to be installed didn't get to meet their hero Gout. So
He still showed up.
did he show up?
Yeah, he was still there.
Wow, well, the races were cancelled, which is unfortunate, but I'm glad he showed up. He's got a bit about him.
Meet and greet.
Meeting
bit
great.
of meeting great. Let's move on to the NBA playoffs, boys. How are we going today? The Timberwolves beat the Lakers. The Suns aren't even in it. So the Clippers and the Nuggets are equal 1 apiece. OKC beat the Grizzlies by a fair margin. Warriors with a bit of an upset there. I think the Cavs are up 2-0 now. I'm pretty sure after this morning.
Still one. I haven't played yet. No.
Oh no, okay, wrong. Pacers and the Bucks are 1-0 to the Pacers. Detroit with an upset win over the Knicks at home. That's big. That's big.
Yeah,
for
well
Detroit.
done to him.
And the Boston Celtics, I think, will sweep that, but they're up a game. Thoughts on it, boys?
Watched the first few games. I was watching the Warriors and the Rockets.
Yep.
The other day, and I reckon Warriors will win this series. Just
I reckon Warriors can beat the Lakers. If let's say the Lakers and the Warriors come out of that, I reckon the Warriors can go to the conference finals and even.
I think the Warriors can make the finals.
Yeah, I think the Warriors can make.
Can
the
you
finals.
count out a team with Stephen Curry and playoff Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, that's what
Like, you probably
I'm
can't.
saying. Playoff Jimmy's a different beast. He only comes.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And they got Draymond, great defender, and he's back up there for defensive player of the year. Rockets, though, what do they do to, regroup, regather, and come back for game 2? What do they do?
Got to be more efficient with the basketball.
Offense is a big
Yeah,
deal
the
breaker.
offense was very down.
Yeah, they were down by a few.
They
Like,
were-
gotta prioritize a good shot. Like, there's a lot of possessions where they take 20 or 23, 24 seconds to get
Yeah.
a shot up, and it's a bad shot. Like, you gotta prioritize having a good shot, even if you take it early in the shot clock.
100%.
The Nuggets, without a coach, they're doing all right.
They're doing good. They got a good away win in the first game. Maybe yesterday's game went quite close.
Went very close. I think it went to overtime, didn't it? Or was it the first game?
One did.
Second
Yesterday's
game-
was close.
Yeah, so 3
Only Kawhi I think he had 38 or something, just tore it up yesterday.
Kawhi Leonard, good on him. And the Lakers, what do they do as well? Obviously, down by 1 game in the 7-game series. Obviously, Lakers in 5. Still can happen.
It still could
but
happen. I think it still will happen. I would be surprised if the Lakers win by 20 today.
Any upsets in the first round, fellas?
Nah, but
No,
I think
everyone-
Boston needs some love. We better give some love to Boston now. Payton Pritchard, six man of the year, boys.
They're playing.
He's
probably-
been great. And Peyton Pritchard as well, just won 6-man of the year, and he's been brilliant.
Brilliant. What
He
about
is.
Cade Cunningham, the man on screen? How about him? Good game?
Yeah.
He's got so much almost Jimmy Butler about him in the fact that, like, he seems like the type of guy in the playoffs to just lift. Like, he seems like more than the stats, will take the big shots in the late moments, has the ball in his hand. I'm a big fan of Cade Cunningham.
Boys, any bold predictions?
I think Pistons will come out of this one.
Really?
So I do.
Ooh,
I reckon it'll be 2-2 heading back to New York.
Yeah.
And then I think New York get him and the Pistons will win in 7.
Perfect. Let's move on
I
to...
got the Pacers. That's my bold
Yeah.
prediction.
Bold prediction.
So
My
do
bold
I.
prediction is... Well, I don't really have a bold prediction. My bold prediction was the Warriors beat the Rockets, but after yesterday, it's not really that
I think
bold.
they're favoured, the Warriors.
They were.
Yeah. But I'll go with Critter. I think Detroit could beat the Knicks. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Anzac Day predictions. Best on, first goal, boys. Best
We'll do
on.
first goal first.
First goal.
Anzac Day, it's always a thriller, no matter where the teams are. On the ladder, it's always close. It's always a bit of extra fight in this one. So I think it'll be a good game. I reckon Collingwood will win. We'll get them by about 3 or 4 goals.
Japper.
I think very biased, but
Yeah, I know.
I think Essendon are a real sniff here.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Anzac Day's one of those games where you can bank on it either being a terrific showing of like
Yeah,
this
they-
way, that way, this way, that way.
They say the same about the grand final as well.
They don't. They say the same about prelim finals, if anything.
I've seen some, yeah.
We'll go first goals. We'll throw around our 1st
I'm gonna
goals.
be the sane bloke and say Collingwood win by about 30 plus. I'm gonna say best on is my boy Ned Long. First goal, Bobby Hill.
I think first goal, Mason Redmond will get a handball receive outside 50
This is just
and let off a massive,
Wrap
absolute
it up.
rocket. And then I think best on, in an Essendon win, Todd Goldstein, ladies and gentlemen.
move on.
See, my first goal is going to come from Dan McStay.
Yep.
Going to take a mark inside 50. And my best on, he'll find form again, have a great game. Big time player, Jordan DeGoey.
Jeez, it's Goey.
Have you guys seen that Dan McStay has he kicked the first goal of the game in like 6 of like 10 games. 6 of his last 10 games. Like,
Not too sure, but let's move on to the round 7 predictions. Boys, I'm just going to read out the games and you tell me your predictions. Demons, Tigers.
Tigers.
I'm going to go Tigers.
Tigers.
Yeah, they
By
look good. I'll say about 2 or
3
3 goals.
2 or 3 goals.
3 points.
3 points. Crows and Dockers.
Crows.
That has potential to be a great game. I do also, although it's in Perth, I do think the Crows win this.
Saints and Lions.
Lions.
Lions,
Yep.
Fight back. 60
Power
plus.
versus the Roos.
Power 10 goals plus.
Power.
Yeah,
10
down at Adelaide
plus.
Oval as well. Giants versus Dogs.
Dogs.
Ooh.
I reckon the Giants will come back. They're favourites, but I still reckon they come back.
Okay. Swans and Suns.
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 Swans just look a bit defeated.
Swans need a win.
Suns also coming back after a horrific loss to Richmond. Blues versus Cats.
Cats.
Cats just look too
And
good.
then Hawks.
Cats look too good, and then Hawks. Well, more West Coast. And we went through this segment last week, but I'll give it to you again. I'll give you a quick Crittas multi. What am I going to give you this week?
How'd last week go?
It did
Looked
go well.
good, but then Crittas Curse came through and St Kilda up at quarter time, and then
Crittas multi real quick. What do you got?
I'm going to give you Geelong, around $1.50. I think they will maul Carlton.
I agree.
And I'm also going to give you Richmond, about $3, so you can get around $5 for that. So
Lovely.
put 10 of that into 50. And there.
Shout out to Dem.
This is a man with a lot of intelligence. A man with a lot
Just watch.
Just watch.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, I think, Crittas Call. Or is it Crittas Curse?
Crittas Call, Crittas Curse,
Same thing.
whatever you want to call it. I've got a few. We did touch on some of them, but one of them's Richmond to win, obviously. I think, well, I'll give you one in the NBA. I think the Timberwolves will come out of this round against the Lakers. They just look too good. They look good in the first game, and Lakers are still good, but I just reckon Timberwolves will overpower them. And I've got a big call, and it's in the Geelong-Carlton game. I reckon someone's going to have a big impact here.
Oh, God.
Jake Kolajasny.
Here we go. This will be interesting.
I reckon Tyson Stengel. I reckon he's going to... Hang on, hear me out. Carlton's defence is a bit questionable at times.
Chance.
And I reckon Tyson Stengel has the potential, because he's very quick, very versatile. I think he could kick about 4 or 5, how about 20 this week. That's my take.
It's not
Cozzy did that, and you said... Cozzy did that, and you said, oh, no, he gets 2 votes.
Because Gorm was better.
Alright.
Coaches both gave 9. But anyway, I reckon Tyson Stengel
That
is going to have a big game this week.
That was Crittas Call, which was brought to you by the Real and Raw podcast. And we, boys, have a new episode out with some, pretty exciting guests. We had Jack Fitzpatrick a couple of weeks ago, but we have uploaded a video last night, or a podcast last night, with Jarrah Davis out now with Critta and Jasper asking some hard-hitting questions to Jarrah.
Go and have a look. It's a great listen.
He's an insightful guy. A lot of good stories, actually.
Good
So,
stories, and you can learn a lot from people in the media and in the industry.
Thanks to Jarrah for coming on.
Thanks
Yeah,
you for
good
Jarrah.
guy.
Also, shout out to Jarrah. All right, boys. Well, that's been a episode of Swerve Weekly. Make sure you tune into other episodes of Swerve Weekly and the Real and Raw podcast. Make sure to follow us on our Instagrams at Swerve Sport. Our TikTok is also Swerve Media, and our other socials that will come up onto the screen shortly. Also, guys, if you've got any comments, leave them down below, and we'll make sure to see you next week. Enjoy, guys.